Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down.
This episode of Two Up, Two Down is the season 9, The Wizard. So let's kick it off with Tony for One Up.
Okay. Interesting. I'm a little prepared here. I have stuff written down, but I don't really like any of it. Here's here's my thumb up on this one. My thumbs up on this one is when Elaine runs into the Rosses at the diner and they mention George's place in the Hamptons and she laughs and she laughs. And then when she tells George about it, it's classic Elaine just rubbing it in on George and just how these guys are friends and they hate each other at the same time. It's great. Her laugh is genuine. I feel like Julie does a good job with that. We'll get to the grades. Not our favorite episode, but I think that's a fun little scene with Elaine there laughing in the Ross's face. That's my thumbs up.
Agreed. I have as well. Elaine laughing at George, the Hamptons. I think Elaine actually brings it in this episode. But for my first One Up, I don't know. For some reason, I laughed out loud, if you will. When doing the whole wizard thing, Mrs. Seinfeld clapping. Yay, Cherry got it open. I don't know why. Listen, that's not a strong up by any means, if you know where I'm going with that. So, but Mrs. Seinfeld clapping, it's rare, Mrs. Seinfeld gets a one up in any episode. So I'm happy we gave her this one up. So, second one up for the Wizard.
Yeah, and we agreed on that one. I had it written down. Yay, Jerry got it open. I got it written down right here. And you know what? I'll piggyback off that, and I'll give my next thumb up is Morty Seinfeld. Inko Kami Rag talking about the Boca Breeze, the Boca Brista Breeze. I love that line by him. He brings a little bit in this episode when I can bring it to the restaurant and calculate my tips. I love that line. One of my only lines I'll throw in this episode that I do like. So yeah, I'm gonna give the whole. I'll give Morty a thumbs up on this one. Couple of funny scenes. Brings it a little bit there with calculating the tip and whatnot, and that's my second thumbs up.
Yeah, not a lot of ups to come by in this episode, but I did write a couple down. I'm tinkering which one I want to give you guys. Obviously, the Rosses had a decent comeback in this. You know what I'm going to do? But I'm gonna pivot a little bit. I do like the Rosses. We don't like you, George, but Daryl, Elaine's boyfriend. The whole trying to figure things out. And I loved when Elaine went to visit him and the rap music was going and he bangs on the wall and he goes, yo, turn it down. I don't know, little chuckle. So Daryl, I think that whole kind of dynamic with him and Elaine, I'm glad there was no Putty. I know Putty gets mentioned here, but that's my other soft ones up for the Wizard. All right. Now we're on to the downs. Here we go. He's shaking his head.
I'm shaking my head because I don't know who I'm talking to here. You're giving Daryl an up in this one? Oh my God. Hold on a second. Let's let the camera focus. I can't believe it. That's good. I'll have to just do it out. This is my first down. The Elaine storyline, I didn't like at all. The whole is he black, is he white, Daryl, go to the Gap, we're too white. I mean, I get it, but you brought this up several times. They hammered this one too many scenes. The yo-yo would have been funny, but then it's the Mexican restaurant, it's the this and that. They brought up 100 different times. Elaine talks to George about it. Enough. I just thought it was too much. I think it's a funny premise. You throw it in there a couple of times, especially, back then it was a fun little scene and it brings levity to the situations now we talk about. Anyway, excuse me, that's my down. The whole playing out the whole Daryl and Elaine stuff. That's actually my down.
Interesting. And listen, this is one of the worst episodes of all time. Let's keep this in mind, okay? And for some reason, we'll get to the grade. I think the Elaine potentially could have carried this episode. That's how I know, and it's rare, and that's why it's not getting a great grade. But yeah, I think the whole race, them talking about it, the line, I don't think we should be talking about this. That was too much, but we'll get to that later. But all right, first official down, it's George. I mean, let's get nuts and taking the Rosses to the Hamptons. The whole I have horses. Their names are Snoopy and Prickly Pete. I mean, Steve Looker wrote this episode. Larry David must have been would turn over in his grave with some of these lines. So George storyline, but then just some of George's lines. We're taking it overdrive again. Him yelling. It's it's as bad as it gets for George. I'm sorry. So that's my first one down.
Yeah, I have a few Georges written down. The hot dog guy, the exercise, the gasket thing was a fucking disaster. You didn't even bring that up, but you threw. I know. Well, I know you said George. I get it. I just remember that one. That in particular bothered me. You covered George pretty well there. So my second down is going to be. It's this was written by someone who was trying to write something about science. It was like there was like I studied Seinfeld. Let me write everything I can. Too many callbacks. Bob Sacramento Sr. They bring back the Del Boca Vista impeachment. It just seemed forced. Kramer down there. With the robust instructor. She's fit. Just to your point, I had that written in my ups and I just gave it a down because I can't. I had to write things in the up column, but I mean the whole damn thing is down. So I mean, yeah, just I didn't like the callback stuff. I didn't like he could have done anything but Bob Sacramento Sr. screwing them. I mean, so silly. It just forced and dumb. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the down, just those dumb callbacks, I think.
Yeah, to wrap up the downs here, and you brought up the whole gasket thing. I don't even think that's a George down. I think it's a Jerry down. You know, George, like, I mean, really bad Jerry at that point, and Elaine with George too much in this episode. To your point, Del Boca, it really missed without Klompus in my mind. Again, I don't know if he was in bad health at that point. He was still alive, but officially my second one, and you mentioned FDR with George, the hot dog. I mean, what a waste of a scene. Uh, it's the Kramer campaigning. Like the Kramer storyline was beyond bad. The whole playing ping pong and dancing with that kind of music montage. We know you Pink Hat fans love those music montages in the later years, but I mean, come on. He's like touching the baby, the touching the old man. Just not funny. So Kramer, and I love Kramer, but this was bad. So that was my second one down. Whole Kramer campaigning, moving down there, and like, come on, moving in with I mean, right next door to the neighbors, just a big miss. So that's my second one down. But let's get to the grade here. I think we know where a lot of us are leaning, but let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a grade down, and I'm almost tempted to change it, but I think I'm going to go with my gut. I think I don't know. We're doing. I'm going to just stick with the grade I wrote down. I think it's fair enough. I might be too lenient, put it that way. I'm giving it a D. I'm just going to give the Wizard a D. I mean, I'm not going to argue anything lower, to be honest with you. I don't think you're not getting better than a D. So I had to just give it a D, be fair. Elaine made me laugh once. And O'Hara's take on George was right, but I do laugh at just him getting in the car one time, just being like, let's do it. Let's fucking get nuts. I'll give you a laugh on that one. A couple of chuckles brings it. It's gonna bring it from an F to a D. We're talking about here. I mean, we're not talking about anything big. So my grade for the Wizard is a D.
He's got to rewatch that prickly Pete Snoopy line. Yeah, listen, this is it's right there, almost failing. And I tell you, you're right. You talked to me about Elaine. She bumped it up a little bit. We were able to do it, and she doesn't bump up much in these later seasons. The whole her laughing, and I kind of even when before Daryl gets there, I hear you, sister. My boyfriend's black. It was she was the star of the show. Period. And that's not a good thing when it's Elaine season 8 and 9. This is a D minus right there, right at the precipice of an F, and it could very close, very close. But again, Morty, Mrs. Seinfeld, then it's just not many ups. So that's where I struggle on this one with. So D minus for the Wizard. On to the next.